Hi everybody, it's Jess from crowdfunder.co.uk. I am here today with the absolutely fabulous Ollie Bolton from A Melon. More about why we're talking to A Melon in a minute. Just a little recap on who we are at Crowdfunder. We're the UK's largest rewards-based crowdfunding platform. We help people raise money to make their great ideas happen. And that's exactly what we did with Ollie. So Ollie, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, thank you very much for having me today. I am from A Melon, and we are producing the first European long life watermelon water. We're taking on the coconut water category.
Wow, that's pretty cool, Ollie. So I was going to let everybody know how we got to talking. And basically, earlier this year in 2016, Crowdfunder worked with Virgin Media Business to put on Voom, which is the UK's largest business competition. And what that meant was a ton of businesses were asked to come on board and either gain votes or also crowdfund with votes to get up on a leaderboard and to get as much support as possible in order to pitch to Sir Richard Branson himself. Now, part of this massive campaign meant that some people were also crowdfunding as well, and Ollie and his team were crowdfunding, and clearly they did an incredible job because A Melon won the Crowdfunder Award and won an extra £50,000 on top of their crowdfunding total. So Ollie, tell us a little bit about how Voom was for you.
It was brilliant. I mean, we were really lucky that the launch of the A Melon coincided perfectly with the competition. So the whole competition was a brilliant way for us to just generate awareness and get the brand out there and introduce it to people. And then also the crowdfunding element was great because as any new brand, we had a kind of limited marketing budget, so it enabled us to raise more cash to invest in marketing and funded our launch event and various other bits and pieces, which we'll go on to in a little bit.
Sounds amazing. So everyone's going to be watching this hangout today to find out exactly how you crowdfunded, and it's a really big part of our ethos at Crowdfunder that we hope to give as a good education in crowdfunding as possible, and where better to start than with somebody who's done it so brilliantly themselves. So I'd quite like to know, and I'm sure many other people would, what did you do to pre-plan your crowdfunding project? What were the steps you took?
I think the first thing I did is I spent a lot of time researching what other food and drink brands had done and with regards to crowdfunding projects, and kind of looked at what had worked and what had been successful. So we spent a fair amount of time doing research into what other people had done, and it was really the thing that really stood out was those more creative rewards and campaigns were the ones that kind of got most traction. So from the outset, we were looking to create as unique as possible rewards and as fun as possible campaigns. So it was with people. I think that's ultimately the kind of key to the success of a successful crowdfunder, is making it share, send it to their friends and family.
That's amazing. So what would you say were the top 3 points on how you actually tell your story if you want people to pledge on your project?
Yeah, I think you have to be, first of all, really clear about your story and exactly what you want to tell. And for us, the way we did it with a video, we pulled in some favors from some friends. We created a kind of 1.5-minute video, kind of talking about the business. I did it with Tom, who's my co-founder of the brand, and it was a really good opportunity for us to also get across the kind of fun nature of the brand and the product, as well as telling the story. And then I'll probably say the third element was we spent a lot of time looking at who we could, building out a list of our contacts, friends, colleagues, acquaintances, partners, who we could link in, and we could get their support with the crowdfunding campaign. So also being aware of who you can work with to get further exposure and who can help support the campaign from the outset, I think is really important.
That's brilliant. So what we noticed when you were crowdfunding, and something that a lot of the office loved, was your social media engagement. And it's something that really stood out throughout the whole Voom campaign, because everybody was like, oh, look what A Melon have done now. You went so far as to mock up some banners that would possibly be on the streets of the UK if you won the campaign. I mean, that's genius. You were so far in the future. you were pretty much laying out the scene early. So what advice do you have for anyone who's looking to, I guess a lot of people ask us, how do we gain more social media followers and how do we get that social engagement?
I think it's the first thing to say on the social post that we did. I think that was really just keeping people updated and showing them how the story evolved. So what we really try to do is just keep people excited about the campaign and just show, just to make them a part of it. So they had more of a personal connection, and it just kept it front of mind for them. So when they're having conversations with friends and colleagues, there was always more to update if they were talking. So I think that for us was a really important element.
I think that's really, really strong as well. What you said was make people a part of your campaign, and social media does that by tagging people, by reaching out to people, by tweeting at them, or tagging people on Facebook. Facebook Live is really big at the moment. It's going to be really good for crowdfunding projects. And the other question that we get asked a lot, or actually we get a lot of phone calls halfway through a campaign going, oh my God, it's slowed up, what are we going to do next? That sort of bit in the middle where it goes really flat, and every crowdfunder experiences it. What would you tell anyone who's having that freaky moment or planning for that freaky moment, and how do people keep that momentum going in the middle of their campaign?
I think what's going back to your question before, I think it's great from the start to have a plan of kind of what you're going to drip feed throughout the campaign. Of stuff like the money raised, you can't predict. But having an idea of like, if we hit certain targets, that will unlock further content or further rewards for backers. That's a really good really good content to talk about. But for us as well, we had a kind of plan of what we were going to be doing to support the campaign. So we knew that we were going to be, say, out in Leicester Square, sampling the general public, so we could use that as part of our ongoing story. So,
amazing.
Yeah, I think just kind of planning out from the outset, and just kind of like looking at what you could be talking about further down the line is something you can look at and address at the very beginning.
Okay, that's great. So I'm going to stop asking you questions a minute from us, questions that we've got to ask you. And we've got loads of people asking questions online now that are watching. So hi, Peter. Peter's asking, how did you guys get other businesses, for example, distributors like supermarkets, to support you with pledges and eventually take on your product?
So so our kind of crowdfunding campaign was on the one, we were raising money with consumers, and on the other side we had a kind of like a wholesale element, and that was just, it was a really fun way to get the trade involved in the campaign. And so a lot of the rewards were also available to the trade side of things. And for us, like, if we're working with a new wholesaler, it's a lot more exciting to go to them, rather than saying, please list our product, get involved in our crowdfund. And not only will you get discounted stock for your first order through the crowdfunder, but you're also going to get the other benefits that are available to general consumers. And I don't think that happens very often with distributors and retailers and wholesalers. So we found that was really effective for us.
And you're making it really exciting. Peter's also asked, and you might have slightly answered this actually, did you build a network of business clients and contacts to get pledges in advance of? And you've already touched on this, you had a database, but did you specifically segment that database?
No, I mean, we're lucky that we do have a kind of a list of contacts from on our database. So we had a group of people that we could approach from the outset, but most of the reaching out to distributors and wholesalers happened once the campaign was in motion, and we kind of, so it was a combination of before and during.
Yeah. Okay, great. So now we have to go over to Gina. Hi, Gina. Gina is very enthusiastic, Ollie. She says she loved your project.
Thank you.
Do you have any pitching tips for a new business?
I think it's just to be really like honest and true and authentic about what you're doing. and make it as fun as possible. You know, I mean, a lot of people I think that support crowdfunders are looking for a bit of excitement, and they want to be a part of a brand or a product or a service. And so the more fun and exciting you can make it in a genuine way, the better. Be my kind of advice.
Great. Okay, and I think this question is also from Gina. It's a really good question anyway. If you were offered funding from the big banks, would you have done that rather than crowdfund?
No, I would always prefer to crowdfund. Because you know, because the great thing is everyone supports your campaign. Everyone's an ambassador and a champion. So you have from the outset a whole network of people who are speaking to all of their contacts. But you know, you have a really core, loyal group of kind of supporters who you can, you know, you could also like give them get feedback on future products, or that kind of, it's much more personal and real way of getting support for your brand or business. So I'd always crowdfund over a bank.
Of course, I completely agree with you. I mean, we at Crowdfunding, we work with banks anyway. We believe that it is a very collaborative funding mix out there in the world for businesses starting up today. So, but it's lovely. It's always lovely to hear that, you know, crowdfunding really gets everybody off to a really good start, and it's often a better option. So there's a chap called Mark. Hi, Mark. I think actually, Ollie, you probably answered this, but Mark wants to know how crowdfunded added to your Voom profile. That's actually quite a good question there.
Yeah, I think it perfectly complemented it, because yeah, everyone we spoke to about the crowdfunder, we were also getting them to vote for us and support us in the competition, and vice versa. And it just added more weight and more kind of depth and detail to our whole Voom application. So I think that anyone thinking of entering Voom next year, I definitely recommend, you know, doing it in conjunction with a crowdfunding campaign as well.
I tend to agree with you there. When we saw the businesses coming in, we had a large amount of them also went on to crowdfund through Voom. But for me, when I saw the others were working so hard to get votes, and I was like, you really should be looking to turn those votes into little pledges. You know, it doesn't have to be much, but what it's doing is that extra validation of that idea, building a customer base.
Yeah, and you meet people who you know, are keen to really love what you're doing and keen to vote for you, and they're like, what can I do? What more can I do? And they're in touch with the crowdfunder, and so yeah, that makes complete sense.
Okay, cool. So there's a chap called Ben. Hi, Ben. Ben would like to know if you would like to crowdfund again if you needed to in the future, because it seems like a lot of work. And Ben is right, crowdfunding is hard work.
Yeah, no, I think we'd definitely be keen to, you know, it's been such a positive experience with it. I think we'd be really keen to do it again in the future, and we will definitely crowdfund again in the future, yeah.
That's a good thumbs up for crowdfunding. And Ben, it's worth remembering that Ollie and his team and other people that have crowdfunded through rewards-based crowdfunding, where people get a reward in return for a pledge of cash, might then go on to consider equity crowdfunding, which is where they give away a percentage of their business in return for a pledge. So that's two different types of crowdfunding, but they complement each other quite well. And a lot of people, you know, do a bit of one and then go on to do a bit of the other. Oh, good question here. So from Jamie. Hi, Jamie. Jamie wants to know how you impressed Sir Richard Branson himself, and how did you set yourself aside from other projects?
That's a very good question. What we tried to do is we tried to pick a product where there was a huge global opportunity. So not only create a product that's fun and to activate it with our marketing in a fun and engaging way, but to actually go after a real opportunity. And in a nutshell, the global natural hydration category, which is basically mainly dominated by coconut oil, so it's worth $1 billion. Yet the majority of consumers around the world don't like the taste of coconut water. So we feel it could be at least double. So it's a really, really big opportunity. So I think, you know, hopefully maybe that would have engaged him, and then creating a brand and being very different to coconut waters, which we feel are quite boring, is also another way that perhaps he got excited. Which I think is, with the Virgin brand, is kind of his approach to make things really fun and challenger and like stand out. So I think maybe a combination of the serious business case and then the fun execution would be two things that people relate to and like.
I think that's really good advice. So I am going to just go quickly back to the crowdfunding tips before we finish off with the other questions. We seem to have quite a few coming in, which is great. People are asking, or I would actually like to know, how you costed up your campaign, Ollie. How did you know how much you needed to raise versus how many pledges you were going to get in? Did you get technical? Did you get your maths brain out?
Yeah, well, we had a spreadsheet out, and for all of our rewards, we looked at all of the costs associated with them, including postage, and then obviously looked at the value we were selling the rewards for the crowdfunder and the profit, and that actually influenced what we offered. For example, as part of one of our higher value rewards, getting a face on the back of our bus that we crowdfunded, the actual cost of putting people's faces on the back of the bus was pretty cheap, but that was a really effective way and fun and unique thing to offer people. But yeah, no, we looked at all of the different prizes. We looked at all of the different the profit on the prizes, and then we looked at how much money we would have left over, allocated some of that for buying, the things like the bus and the launch event. But I think you have to be really organised about it and make sure all the numbers stack up.
That's cool. Good advice. So what we've covered really, talking about how to set up a crowdfunding campaign, and even if you were thinking of going in for Boom next year or crowdfunding now, you need to tell your story really, really well, get some real social media engagement going on, be really good about the rewards you offer. If you have a product, obviously do a really good deal on that product. You have to really think about how you're going to keep momentum in the middle, think about your network and how you're going to build that network, and then also be really organised about costing that campaign and knowing how much you need to raise versus how you're going to get there and what other costs that might be hidden in that process. So that's really cool. Ollie, I'm just going to ask you a couple more questions actually. So these are two really good questions. So when can we see watermelon in the shops? I think, are they not already there?
No, we're currently in Holland and Barrett, around the UK, and Whole Foods, Planet Organic, Itsu, and then we're launching next week in Sainsbury's.
Wow!
So,
congratulations!
Yeah, thank you. And then we've got we're having really good conversations with other supermarkets as well. So hopefully early next year we'll have more good news to share.
Well, we'll have to check in with you on that. That question actually leads in really nicely from Jess. I'm also a Jess. That was slightly confusing, getting the question from myself. Jess wants to know what your plans are for the business going forward. So you mentioned you've got some more big chats going on, but what are you going to do to keep fresh and innovative in a pretty demanding environment?
Yeah, that's a very good question. We're always planning for the future. I mean, on the product side of things, we're looking at larger, 1 litre. We're looking at kids products. We're also looking at different flavours as well. It's expanding out the range, so always keeping it interesting, exciting. And we've got some really exciting, fun things planned on the marketing as well, which you'll have to follow our social media to see shortly what we've got in store. But it's going to be definitely worthwhile.
Well, I can vouch for Ollie's social media profile, Watermelon's social media profiles, because they are endlessly entertaining. And I know, especially at Halloween, with Halloween carved watermelons and all sorts of stuff. Another great question, and I actually particularly love this one because there's a lot of preparation going on for Voom next year. When did you start preparing for Voom? Because this person's actually thinking about applying.
Yeah, I mean, we moved pretty quickly. We were kind of, because we were just about to launch the product, we were completely focused on that. And then we saw the advertising for Voom, and we moved pretty quickly, actually. We created our video we turned it around in about 10 days, I think. Managed to put in some favours that do editing and filming. But you can do stuff on a shorter time frame. Obviously, it's great to plan, but I think where we spent a lot of time is just thinking about how we're going to creatively talk about the campaign and come up with creative rewards. So I'd recommend putting it into how you can be different, make it more shareable.
I think that's really good advice, and I mean, Ollie, you did it really quickly, and you definitely, there's a guy swimming behind us. Welcome to Crowdfunder. It's got to be one of the best bits of the vid. I think it's really good. You know, you can do things in a short turnaround. But if you have the opportunity to plan, then plan. Understand that when you're going to go live, when you're going to do certain parts of your campaign, have your milestones, how much you're going to raise, and you literally cannot plan enough, really. And don't paralyze yourself with it, but, you know, just really get on there and start thinking about what makes you stand out, because I think Ollie certainly achieved it and it paid off. And anyone looking to go into food this year should really think, what can we do and how can we emulate Ollie's success? So I think that's it. I don't think I have any other questions. I will just check. My phone isn't on. Hang on. I'll have a quick look. Yeah, that's it. We've had some brilliant questions, and I really appreciate everybody that's tuned in today. And those of you who are watching it, obviously not during the live broadcast. Ollie, thank you so much for coming. I think it's really, I know the crowdfunder team are really proud of what you've achieved, and you're a real example to other crowdfunders going forward. So
thank you. We'll appreciate all of your support and wishing everyone the very best with their future crowdfunding.
Amazing. All right. Thank you so much. Take care, Ollie. Catch you soon.
Take care. Thanks. Bye.
Cheers. Bye, everybody.